In this video, you'll learn the differences between a cat and a monohull sailboat for long-distance cruising.
Number one, you can have more things with you. So, a lot of cruisers want to have washer dryers. They want to have all their stuff with them. And catamarans give you more storage space so that you can put all that away. You can have more things with you. And so that's one reason. Another one is that especially a lot of women and people that have inner ear balance problems is the stability of a catamaran. When you are at anchor, they don't rock. It's like a stable platform. But on a monohull, a big powerboat can go by, and then you could be rocking like this, and your martini glass ain't gonna stay up very long when it's doing that. So, but my martini glass does always stay up. You have, I just like the stability, I think they're safer underway because, monohulls can get knocked down like this in a big puff, and, you can trip and fall, and that's a big problem. So, but on a multi-hull, no problem. You're just going straight. Every catamaran in choppy seas and light winds is not going to sail very well upwind at all. They just don't sail well. And you have this funny motion. And so it's kind of like a three-way motion like this that takes a little getting used to, but I'm used to it now. I don't care. But when you get in a boat, in a cat like that, by the way, just crack your sails off a little bit and, sail, but you won't be able to point very well, but the ride will get a lot better. Cat. It depends on the sea state. It depends on the person sailing the boat more than anything, in my opinion. And, if you're in flat seas, it's totally different than a chop. So some of them only go 60 degrees to the wind. It's just the way they're rigged. And, you can move the cars inboard or barber haul them inboard. And in certain sea conditions, you will be able to point maybe as well as a monohull, especially in flat seas. But they do have a problem in sailing upwind. Now, when your water line is over 40 feet, I don't know why it works this way, but for some reason the cats just sail better with a longer water line. So like a 45, 50-foot cat will sail pretty good upwind. But, they all kind of pitch a little bit, or hobby horse when they're sailing. And, Lagoon has wider hulls aft, so they figured out how to dampen that pitching a little bit. Many times when you're sailing upwind, if you can afford to head, or on a close reach, if you can head up 20 degrees or head down 20 degrees, that will dampen that pitching motion enough so that the ride becomes more comfortable. But yeah, there's a problem with cats with that. And now on beam reaches and especially broad reaches, those things sail great. And the ride is fantastic on some points of sail. I had my 80-year-old mother-in-law and mother on board on a cruise once. I had a Lagoon 42, and we were sailing off of Bequia, and they have this phenomenon called the Bequia blast. It blows 35 around the tip of the island, and there's 15-foot seas. And so I told the mothers who were back there drinking their mimosas one morning, I said, now, ladies, we're going to be in 15-foot seas, and we're going to have the Bequia blast, which we talked about before. And so you should finish up your mimosas and, put them away. So, the mothers, they didn't listen. They were just talking away, having fun, And so I thought, I'm going to let them learn the lesson, and I'm either going to let them tip over, or maybe I'll do a James Bond last-minute save, go grab the champagne glasses before they dump over. So, I thought for sure these things are going over. So we get out from behind Bequia. Sure enough, I see these big breaking 15-foot waves, and the wind, it's a broad reach, blowing about 25, 30. And the waves are coming like this it's like right on the port stern quarter. And I thought the boat was going to be going like this, from side to side, but it never did, which was amazing. The boat just lifted up. We're doing a steady 13, and then it would like shoot down the wave at 16, and then up. And it was just this gentle motion like this. And the champagne glasses never tipped over. I wanted them to tip over to teach him a lesson. That motley crew. But anyway, they sail really well on broad reaches and beam reaches. The other ways, not too well. It's just the way it is. They're not really that much faster. Now, when you get in certain situations like a broad reach, there was a Lagoon 410 that was recorded going from the sea buoy on Fort Lauderdale to the sea buoy in Palm Beach, and they averaged 21 knots in 25 to 32 knot winds. It was a broad reach. They had a spinnaker up and a main, and that thing that's moving. Now there's some ultralight displacement monohulls that'll do that, no problem. And oh, by the way, there was 2 knots of Gulf Stream pushing, so they were really doing 19 knots through the water. But in those conditions, which is broad reach, they're going to perform really well. And so you have to compare cruising cat to cruising monohull and not these ultralight boats, because that throws the whole comparison out of whack. But upwind cats don't really go very fast in light winds. In heavy winds, they will. I remember I was going to St. Bart's once, and it was forecast to be 20 knots, but it was 35 gusting 40, and we were doing 13 knots upwind on my Lagoon 42, and I recall that day because I had some friends on the boat who weren't sailors, and my girlfriend, who I love dearly, she just doesn't really want to know that much about sailing, so I pretty much have to do everything myself, and we couldn't afford to reef the main, but I knew we only had 3 hours to go, so lesson to be learned, even though the forecast never called for these higher winds, what I did was I feathered the boat up into the wind, very carefully, so that I wouldn't put a lot of stress on the rig. They lose more mass on catamarans when you're sailing upwind and then somebody on the helm turns to a beam reach, and the pressures, the side pressures on the rig are so extreme that it'll blow your rig out. And so I knew I had to be careful not to turn too far downwind while sailing there, and everything worked out fine. But that's another thing to keep in mind. If a lot of couples say, oh yeah, we don't know how to sail, and we want a 50-foot cat. Well, now wait, hold on a minute. Are you sure you need something that big? Because, when you're dealing with a 50-foot cat or even a 45-footer, those mains are getting really big. And when you have to reef them unexpectedly, it's a lot of work to put that reef in. It's and at night, it's not too much fun. So I would recommend to newbies, don't get too big of a boat. Just get something that's easy to manage, something, between 38 and 43, something like that, and everything will be fine. But that's something that I've seen with new boat buyers. Don't get too overboard on the sides. Go a little smaller than you think and get as new as you can. A catamaran in charter, in one of the major charter hubs, and they had a lot of fun, and so they want to get into it. And so I would say in the catamaran market, in the 40 to 50 foot range, 30% are newbies, maybe more. The rest have usually had monohulls before, and they have maybe tried a boat in charter or heard about, wow, these things really have a lot of room, and they're bright and airy and stable, and maybe we should check this out. And they oftentimes come to a cat. I mean, believe it or not, I've owned 47 different boats and yachts. Some of them were in my charter fleets. Yeah, I'm a boataholic. You know, my ex-wife thinks I'm crazy, but you know, I like to try stuff out. You know, I'm an adventurer, so you know, I had to do it. You know, and but anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, cats. Once you go cat, you never go back. I mean, that's what people say, you know, and I love them. I mean, they don't sail as well as monohulls, and you know, I went out to the Olympics in 1980, and I was asked to be on the team, but we didn't go. So I know something about making a boat go fast and performance sailing, and I do enjoy it, and I do still race sometimes. I'm going out for a world championship in a few months, but when I'm cruising, I would never go on a monohull. And my girlfriend is spoiled rotten, and you know, like I get people offering me free boats all the time. Like, you know, we had an owner, you know, I sold him a Beneteau 50, and he said, hey, you know, you want to use the boat for free? It's in the BVI. Go for it. Go take it for a couple of weeks, you know, because I always return a boat better than when I get it. I like to just fix things and re-rig them, make them work better. And they know that. So they offer me boats all the time. And I told my girlfriend, hey, we got a free boat for 2 weeks in BVI. You ready to go? And she goes, no way. I'm never going on a monohull ever again. You know I don't like those things. You know, so be careful, guys. If you take your wife on a cat, you know, they're not going to want to go back to a monohull most of the time.
Subscribe to Slowboat Sailing so you can see more of our round-the-world sailing trip and see more videos about buying a catamaran with Gary Fretz. This video was made possible by generous support by viewers like you, Mantis Anchors, and the SailTimer Wind Instrument. Support Slowboat Sailing on patreon.com/slowboatsailing for great rewards.